We are doing Extra Life again this year, where you can mash buttons, roll dice, play games, and help kids along the way. I hope you'll be a part of that with us. Stick around after the video for more information. Our friends over at SPECULATIVEFaith.com are lending us another article, this one titled Christian Speculative Fiction, Complaining or Buying, written by Rebecca Luella Miller, published August 26th, 2019. My apologies in advance for mispronouncing names in this article, but here we go. Miller writes, last week Stephen Burnett ran an excellent article about Christians pirating ebooks. I wonder if there isn't another problem we as believers have. Do we enjoy complaining about the lack of Christian speculative fiction, or are we doing what little we can when we see a problem? I'm thinking first and foremost about Christians who read and enjoy speculative literature. Spec Faith was founded, these 15 or so years ago, as a response to editors and agents saying over and over that there was no market for Christian science fiction and fantasy. Of course, there's no market if there's no one putting out books for people to buy, a group of us asserted, so we determined to help create a thirst for Christian speculative literature. Fast forward, and we have a very different book environment now. Self-publishing is easier than at any time before. An impressive array of small presses, led by Enclave Publishing, have cropped up to fill a void, some specializing on quote-unquote clean speculative stories, and others looking for ones specifically written from a Christian worldview. Add in the fact that some of the traditional Christian publishing houses have decided that there is more market for Christian speculative stories than they thought. On top of this, a number of writers have taken the challenge of writing stories from their Christian worldview and seeking publication from general market houses. We see all those options represented here at Spec Faith. When we run Fiction Friday excerpts, for example, readers can be introduced to a book published by Tor Teen, such as we ran Friday, Stormrise by Gillian Boehm. Or we might put forward a Christian supernatural suspense with humor, published by a small press, Enclave Publishing, such as we did in Paul Rainier's Paranormia, or a traditional fantasy, such as Emily Gaulis's Escape to Vindor, Tabera Press. We've also featured a self-pubbed award winner such as Sally Apokadak's The Button Girl, technically a weekday fiction fix post, and books such as Jill Williamson's Safe Lands series, published by a traditional Christian house, Bethany. I could give numerous examples of each type of book, brought into being despite the idea that there is no market for speculative fiction among Christian readers. But to be honest, I wonder if book sales numbers support the idea that, yes, Christians do want to read speculative fiction. I know there are more and more books available. I don't know how well they sell. How many people are eager to learn about new books, especially ones that receive good reviews from a reputable and unbiased source such as Lorehaven Magazine? Are we willing to support the works we said we wanted? Or are we content with pointing out how difficult it was to get publishers to see Christians who love speculative stories? I personally don't have a lot of money, so I can't buy all the books I'd like. I don't have time to read a lot of the books I already have, so there's that problem too. But what about award-winning books? Wouldn't it be important to find out about the books that receive recognition from various well-established sources? I remember approaching a Christian bookstore worker once, asking why they didn't have a Christie Award-winning book. I mean, ought they not carry the best books first and foremost? We readers should ask the same question. Do we buy books just because of author name recognition? I personally believe that's why some authors continue to sell well. Readers haven't heard of the other authors and don't want to risk putting money down for an unknown. But award winners should not be unknowns. I mean, some set of judges chose that particular book over other books as the best of that year. The best of those books entered, yes, but still a top book, no matter how you look at it. But I wonder if we might get stuck defending Christians writing and reading fantasy. We discuss from time to time here at Spec Faith what pastors have got wrong when they stand against speculative writing. We talk about the value of Christian fantasy, or the need for Christians to write for the general market, or how self-publishing allows Christians to be both Christians and lovers of speculative stories without apology. Are we buying those books? Are we following through and putting our money and our time to the thing we claim is important that has been underrepresented? Not every book, certainly. But some people are passionate about Christians writing for the general market. So have they bought books by Marie DiStefano, R.J. Anderson, N.D. Wright? Have they pre-ordered Stormrise that is debuting next month? I could go on with titles and authors. I don't know how those books are selling, to be honest. Maybe Christians are getting behind them and making them bestsellers, and I just haven't heard about it. I'd like to think that's the case, and not that we love to complain but aren't doing some little part, like buying a book now and then, reading and leaving reviews, and telling others about the books of speculative fiction written by Christians that we've been reading. Really interesting topic. I'm actually curious what the hunger is out there among the Christian Geek Central audience members for fiction specifically written from a Christian worldview. That's not something that I tend to be hungry for. But as you guys know, I end up reviewing a ton of content that's made in the mainstream and then commenting on it from a Christian perspective. But I'm curious if there is, or how much hunger there is for content that's specifically made by Christians from a Christian worldview, whether that's for an audience of Christians or for the general market. So if you guys want to sound off on that and what you're interested in, I would be interested in getting some small sample of the thinking and the appetites that are out there. But anyway, another great article. Again, that one's titled Christian Speculative Fiction, Complaining or Buying by Rebecca Luella Miller. You can find that article and a ton more great content over at speculativefaith.com. It is time for Extra Life again, and I'd love for you to be a part of it with me. Here's a recycled but slightly modified promo to tell you more. Once again this year, Christian Geek Central is participating in Extra Life. This is a charity that raises funds for the Children's Miracle Network of Hospitals, which provides free medical care to children whose families could otherwise not afford it. And this is very often for critical, life-saving treatment. Joining our team only requires a willingness to ask your family and friends to consider donating toward your fundraising efforts. Participants also usually do something fun and game-related to draw attention to their fundraising efforts, like a special game night at your home or your church, or like me, you could do a crazy 24-hour video gaming marathon. Now, I'm theming it around video games, but really this event can be themed around any kind of gaming, which includes both video games and tabletop games of any kind. What you do to raise funds is entirely up to you, but I would love for you to consider joining the Christian Geek Central Extra Life team. As team leader, I'll be there to help answer your questions, provide some helpful tips if I can, and just in general be your fundraising cheerleader and try to draw attention myself to your fundraising efforts. You can get more information about the event as a whole at extra-life.org, and if you choose to sign up there, be sure to select Christian Geek Central as your team so I can get in touch with you and then just help in whatever way I can. Fundraising can begin at any time, but our main push is going to be through the month of October leading up to November 2nd. That's the annual Extra Life Game Day, when I'll be streaming my 24-hour video gaming marathon live and trying to stay awake without throwing up. More details on my live stream as we get closer to it. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.